Hello, this is Erica, Bernardo's oldest granddaughter. It is March 9th. It is March 9th, 2025. And as promised, this is going to be the third installment, the third month we're doing this, the third edition of a new monthly series just to share Bernardo's words of wisdom and experience and perhaps answer some of your questions. The reference that I'm using, or the book that I'm using, the source material I'm using is Age Less, Live More, Achieving Health and Vitality at 107 Years and Beyond. I am Bernardo's oldest grandchild, and I'm his legacy manager. And I just thought this would be a great thing to do in 2025. I think for reasons that are pretty obvious right now, at least here in the US of A. So I am reading today, I'm going to be reading today from chapter 2 of this book, which is called An Object in Motion. And I'm going to be starting to read on the second half of page 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. And the beginning of page 72, because I think that, this would be good to cover everything from the benefits of massage for the overall body, mind, spirit, and the neglected feet. So welcome. It's just 6 o'clock now. I said I was going to start at 6 o'clock. So if you're here and you want to make a comment and say hello, I'd love to know who's here, but no pressure. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So I guess I will just get started and start reading this. So again, this is massage. Be rubbed the right way. So chapter 2 is kind of divided into these subdivisions, and Bernardo, one of the many skills he had was working as a massage therapist. He trained at the Swedish Institute of Massage here in New York City. It's located still in the Chelsea area. He went to school for that. Oh, let me see now. Well, I know that I'm pretty sure he got his massage certificate about the age in his late 60s. And I remember this because he actually worked on my mother, who had a very bad case of sciatica from driving all the time when she was living and working out in Los Angeles. So I remember him coming over with his little jaunty newsboy cap on to work on her and to give her some massage therapy, because at that point she was wearing a back brace and it was very painful and difficult for her to walk. And she wasn't interested in just taking a lot of painkillers all the time. So he came over several times, and of course, I was amazed by his strength, or more proud of his strength. He'd carry his own massage table and worked on her for several weeks, and it helped her improve and it helped her heal. So let's get into it, as the kids say. Massage, be rubbed the right way. Earlier, I discussed the lymph system and how massage was one way to keep it in top condition. Massage, however, has numerous other benefits that I'd like to touch on here. Though many people believe that having massage is a luxury, it is, in fact, a true necessity for maintaining a healthy body and mind. Before I continue, I need to give a word of warning. Because some types of massage involve deep manipulation, people with certain medical conditions should exercise care when deciding whether massage is right for them. Specifically, those with blood clots or tumors, fever, infections or inflammation, osteoporosis or fractures, or persons on blood thinning or certain other medications should probably not have a massage until being evaluated. Use common sense, and if in doubt, please consult a medical professional before proceeding. That's the disclaimer here. So in anything in life, you have to use your discernment. That being said, massage as a healing tool has been around for many thousands of years. It is thought to have originated in traditional Chinese medicine, and its use has been documented in regions as diverse as ancient Rome, Greece, Egypt, as well as India and Japan. Down through the ages, healers have developed a wide range of therapeutic techniques using touch, and many are still in use today. Welcome, Amos. Good to have you here. Touching is a natural reaction to pain and stress, and as a sign of support and empathy, not just in humans, but even within the animal kingdom. From relieving stress to pain management to improving circulation, study after study has shown massage to be a crucial tool for staving off the infirmities of age and the damage done by our mile-a-minute lifestyles. Earlier in this book, I talked about the dangers of chronic stress. And I can tell you from experience that massage is one of the best stress-busting weapons available. Because massage aids in relaxation and helps us overcome the negative impact of stress and anxiety, many areas of our lives are enhanced. From improved quality of sleep, to greater energy and concentration during the day, less fatigue, and a sense of clarity that may have been lacking, frequent massage can open the door to a calmer, more peaceful life. On the strictly medical front, scientific evidence continues to mount. An increasing number of research studies have shown that massage reduces heart rate, lowers blood pressure, increases blood circulation, and improves range of motion. Increased circulation allows the body to pump more oxygen and nutrients into tissues and vital organs, and also improves the condition of the body's largest organ, the skin. Arthritis sufferers note fewer aches and less stiffness and pain, as well as reduced spasms and cramping. Massage decreases discomfort for patients with lower back pain, helps to relieve pain for migraine sufferers, and decreases the need for medication. It also provides exercise and stretching for atrophied muscles, and reduces shortening of muscles and increases joint flexibility for those with restricted range of motion. Hypertensive patients demonstrate lower blood pressure, anxiety, and stress hormones. Many professional and Olympic athletes keep massage practitioners always at hand to help relieve the pain and possible muscle cramping associated with strenuous exercise. During exercise, lactic acid builds up in the muscle tissues, causing pain. Although the acid slowly dissipates of its own accord, massage helps to speed the process and provides relief much more quickly. Perhaps first and foremost, massage creates a sense of well-being, a relaxed mind and body. Studies indicate that massage benefits are cumulative. The more massage you allow yourself, the greater the gain. It also provides an integration of body and mind by producing a meditative state of heightened of heightened awareness of living in the present moment, as well as emotional and spiritual balance, thus creating overall peace and calm. I'm going to continue reading because I have several more pages to read from this chapter and this section of the chapter, but already you can see that massage is incredibly, incredibly beneficial. Now, as Grandpa, or as Bernardo points out here, you have to exercise some caution. Now, I have a good friend who's a massage therapist, and because in her case, she deals with a lot of elderly patients whose bones are more brittle and they can't take, the pressure that a deep tissue massage like Swedish massage, which is the massage therapy that Bernardo studied at the Swedish Institute of Massage, she uses a technique that actually uses sound and uses tuning forks to supply. It's very interesting, a kind of massage for her patients. And it dawned on me that maybe at some point, if you all are interested, we could have her on, to talk about that and to talk about the different modalities that she uses. So just because you are older, or you have brittle bones, or maybe you have some injury, it does not necessarily bar you from receiving the benefits of massage. Again, he points out here in the beginning that, again, if you've got clots, tumors, fever, infection, inflammation, that these are other things that you need to watch out for when considering getting a massage, and it would be a good idea to consult an expert in the field, consult your doctor, of course, talk to a licensed massage therapist. It's very important that you get your massage from someone who is actually licensed as a practitioner, right? You want someone who has been duly trained in massage therapy. Now, if I remember correctly, when my grandfather was going to get his certificate to be a massage therapist, he actually had to go through quite a long course of study. It wasn't something that he learned in a couple of weeks. I believe that it was something that he did for about 2 years. And he had to take exams and study on different kinds of people and understand so many different things about circulation and the heart, just some of these things that are mentioning here. So what you're hearing is literally from the horse's mouth. Okay, so again, he points out to massage not being a new thing. It's really something as old as human civilization. And perhaps if you've been in California, or if you've had the good fortune of traveling to Thailand, then you know about Thai massage. And that Thai massage perhaps wouldn't be good for someone who's got brittle bones, because they will literally walk on you with their feet. Of course, they hold on to poles, but just to give some extra pressure, and they really do some things for extra flexibility. So there's all different types of massages, and you can look into and discover which one would be the right one for you. Okay. And of course, Grandpa is always circling back to stress over and over again, because one of the things, again, that allowed Bernardo to live so long and to live such a quality life is that he made a deliberate effort every single day to relax and to avoid stressful situations and to learn how to let things go. He also got massages for himself on a regular basis. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So we've covered the medical benefits, the scientific evidence that supports getting massages on a regular basis, reducing your heart rate, lowering blood pressure, increasing blood circulation, improving range of motion. If any of you have ever been in an accident, a bike accident, a car accident, or having a fall, and you go to have physical therapy, you know that one of the things that the physical therapist will do or often recommend you to a massage therapist who can help you so you can get that range of motion back so you can start living your life more normally again. So the circulation of blood is extremely important. And of course, you know, when the muscles really contract and cramp, that can inhibit the circulation of blood flow, which is so important for so many things. One thing that hadn't occurred to me that I just want to highlight here is how it can benefit people who have arthritis. So he takes the time here to mention that arthritis sufferers note fewer aches and less stiffness and pain, as well as reduced spasms and cramping, right? So he goes through a whole list here of different kinds of aches and pains that you can have, back pain, leg pain. And so by taking this approach, you can actually reduce your dependence on medication. Of course, sometimes when you have, you know, a really bad injury, for example, I had a pretty dramatic bike accident several years ago where I was thrown into the air and landed, and I had quite the black and blue mark and all of that. So yes, I definitely took some medication in the beginning for that. But as time went on, and I did my physical therapy and my exercises, then, you know, the need for that was reduced. I wasn't solely dependent on medication because, again, blood is a great healer. Circulation is very, very important. You don't want to have atrophied muscles. Then he talks about how professional athletes, you know, will travel with licensed massage therapists for their injuries. Hello, Travis. Welcome. Nice that you're here. And he says, perhaps first and foremost, massage creates a sense of well-being. So if you've ever been lucky enough to have a good massage by a really good massage therapist who's licensed, well, once you're done with an hour or a 90-minute massage, when you walk out of there, you don't have a care in the world and you're ready to take a nap and sleep like a baby. So that's another benefit of just that feeling, that peace and calm, which cannot be underestimated. Let me see. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the kind words, Travis. And of course, I'm just passing on Bernardo's knowledge, who again was a licensed massage therapist. So let me go on to the following pages. So there's another subheading in this chapter, an object in motion. And on page 69, it's called A Need for Touch. Another aspect of massage, its ability to provide much needed tactile stimulation. To be touchy-feely has somehow gotten a negative connotation, and that is sad, given that as a society, I believe that we've become touch deprived. From the cradle to the nursing home, tactile stimulation and the emotional assurance of caring touch can bring about a sense of well-being and security. Of course, right away, this brings to mind, you know, the importance of being affectionate and hugging, you know, your children, for example. I see this over and over again. I'll be outside and a child will be crying and he's absolutely inconsolable until the mother picks him up. When the mother picks the child up, the child starts crying. Sometimes it's in the case of the dad. Sometimes the child wants dad and the child would stop crying, but there is a need for this comfort. To continue, in numerous studies, it's been shown that preterm infants experience improved weight gain and overall development when given loving touch and gentle massage. This kind of touch is just as important for the rest of us as well, especially as we age. One of the saddest aspects of growing older is that we may lose loved ones along the way, and as a result, it is easy to allow oneself to become isolated. The resulting lack of touch manifests in many ways, including disease and depression. Years ago, physicians and other caregivers used touch and massage to promote healing and provide an enhanced sense of well-being. But sadly, those days seem to have faded. The simple, universal act of touch, once so prevalent, has fallen by the wayside, replaced by cold stethoscopes and insurance forms. We could, I believe, do well to revive this venerable practice and make massage a priority once again. The tangible benefits, both physical and emotional, as well are well worth the effort, and considering the variety of techniques and the number of practitioners, there should be no excuses other than medical reasons. So don't be shy. Get rubbed the right way today. Fernando's little jaunty phrase there. So yeah, Travis is making a good point that, even if you look in the animal kingdom, you'll see, animals stay together in herds and flocks and they will comfort each other. I was just looking at a wild cat video the other day, and these two beautiful cats, were the equivalent of hugging, right? Kind of leaning against each other, and they just had this kind of peaceful, happy expression on their face. So it's an important thing. Just hugging someone. If you go to a family gathering, right? Everyone is hugging each other. People are embracing each other, or a friend you haven't seen in a long time. Or maybe when you come home and you come home to your partner, right, to your spouse, you embrace, people have different ways of showing affection. When I was living in Europe, the big thing for the French, for example, was kissing each other on the cheek, right? You would greet people by kissing each other on both cheeks. If you were really close with a person, you would give 4 kisses. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is something that people will do in Holland. So every culture has its own custom, for greeting, showing acceptance, showing warmth. It's very important. All right, so now I'm going to read from page 70, 71, 72. And this subheading here is called Give Your Feet a Hand. Now, I've talked about this before, and Bernardo would talk about it all the time, but that's because it's important. And so the feet, of course, are definitely a very important part of the body. Your feet are probably the most abused part of your body, and yet most people don't give them a second thought. Think about it. Your feet carry you around all day long, stuffed into tennis shoes or wedged into high heels, while you walk an average of 18,000 paces every day. They often wind up with calluses or bunions, cracked and sore, and yet we get up the next day and do it all over again. During my tenure as a reflexologist, I learned how essential it is to pay attention to the condition of the feet. Were you to see mine, even at my current age? Of course, he was 106 when they started this book, and then by the time it got published, he was 108 when it finally came out. So he started at 106. He spent so much time writing it, they changed the title to 107, okay? Just to put this in context for you. So self-care is super important. So let me read again. During my tenure as a reflexologist, I learned how essential it is to pay attention to the condition of the feet. Were you to see mine, even at my current age, you might be surprised that I have no calluses or other maladies and that the skin is supple and soft. I don't wear the typical rubber-soled old people's shoes. Instead, I have a nice Italian leather shoes that I use most of the time, except for my walks when I wear conventional sneakers or go barefoot. Because I know how miserable, sore, or cracked feet can make one feel, I've developed a quite simple process to help take care of them, a process I've been doing myself for many years. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it's something anyone can do at the end of the day. An hour or two before bedtime, prepare a very warm tub of water to use as a foot bath. While watching TV or reading, soak your feet for as long as you're able, and then use a pumice stone available for this purpose to gently remove any calloused skin from the bottom and sides of the feet. Rinse and dry your feet with a soft towel and then immediately rub an adequate amount of quality olive oil. Vaseline can be used if olive oil isn't handy into your feet. Next, put on a pair of thin socks so as not to soil the sheets and to keep the oil against the skin. It's that easy. In the morning, you will marvel at how soft and smooth your feet feel. And if you do this every night or at least a few times a week, I am confident that within a relatively short time, your feet will be as soft as they were when you were a child, and you will feel and function better overall. So let me encourage you, please give your feet a hand. So I want to give you the recipe that Bernardo used to use for his nightly foot baths. And this is really something that he did. He did this every evening because Bernardo was a working man. Bernardo stood on his feet for hours and hours and hours and hours a day. He worked in hospitality. He worked as a chef. He worked as a seaman. And when you're working in a restaurant, you're working in a kitchen, you have got to stand for hours. So he is speaking from that side of his experience. And of course, he's also speaking from his experience, from his learning of becoming a reflexologist. He studied reflexology at NYU. He also was a doctor of podiatry. He also had a podiatrist license, first in 1955, and then later on, when he went back to NYU and was doing his massage therapy, he got that as well because he wanted to deepen his understanding and to improve the service that he could give his patients. So he would fill a tub of with hot water, or very warm water, I should say. You can just use, a plastic tub. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And in that, he would add Epsom salts, and he would also add extra virgin olive oil. Yes, he would put like a generous tablespoon or two of extra virgin olive oil along with the Epsom salts in his foot soak. Now, when I first saw him do that, I thought, well, this is strange. I would just watch him. I would watch him and then I would ask questions later. So then he would let it soak. And then what the Epsom salt does is that actually helps soften all those corns and calluses and so on that are on your feet. And then you take the pumice stone and you gently work on all those hardened areas and on the heels and every place where you've got dead skin on there, gently. This is not something, you're not going to get it off all in one try. You have to do this gradually. You don't want to injure your feet while you're doing it. And the effect of the olive oil, it actually helps lift the dirt off the feet. So the first time I tried doing this myself, right? Because I was always learning from him. The first time I tried doing it myself, I was like, that's why. That's why he's using the extra virgin olive oil along with the Epsom salts in here. It actually just lifts the dirt off. So you may notice when you're done with your foot bath that there is a ring of dirt, around the side of it. So you're going to want to rinse off your feet again. That's a good practice. The other thing that he would use during the course of his foot bath is that he would use Castile soap. You may be familiar with Dr. Bronner's Castile soap. It comes in liquid, it also comes in bars, or he would say if you don't have that, you could use like a bar of ivory soap, right? But you want to use, the idea is to use something pure, you don't want to use something that's going to like clog up your pores. And then he would use the soap to finish the job, and then he would rinse his feet off, and then he would dry his feet, and then he would put more extra virgin olive oil on it. Then you put on little cotton socks, right? If you're worried about, staining your sheets. And this is something he did all the time. I remember when he was staying at this old age facility before we got him out of there. He didn't belong in there. But at any rate, he had his own kind of little apartment in there before he had got us an apartment to stay in at Little Cottonwood Apartments in Tempe on Beldemar Drive. Anyway, my point is this. He said one day, I went out. I had gone out to do some errands or to do some shopping. I was visiting him when he was staying in, this facility. And I had gone out and I came back in. And when I came back in, I didn't see him in the living room part. So I went to the bedroom part. I was like, Grandpa, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm soaking my feet. And I said, oh, okay. And he said, do you know that one of the workers here, because they would have housekeeping service. So the housekeepers would come and they would, clean the rooms for the residents that were staying there. So he said, well, while I was soaking my feet, the housekeeper came and she exclaimed, wow, you really do it. You really do it. And he said, well, of course I do. And he said to me incredulously, why would I say that I did something if I didn't really do it? It's like, Grandpa, don't take it personally, Grandpa. A lot of people in this world say that they do certain things or they are going to do certain things, but they don't actually do it. They don't actually follow through with it because, of course, she had read this book and she had read about his practice, but, I guess seeing is believing. So he found that quite, I think he was almost kind of offended by that and found that just crazy that people didn't believe that he did what he said he did. So this is an encouragement to you that if you take care of your temple and if you take care of your body, you don't have to age prematurely, right? Did anyone see that movie, The Substance, with Demi Moore? Anyone see that? I saw it and I was horrified. It was really kind of scary. But of course, the whole thing in this movie is she is desperately trying to stay young and goes to this extreme to try and stay young, right? And it's philosophical and it's about a lot of different things. But during the film, you see her going through this aging process because her younger self has been reckless and hasn't taken care of her body. So, her skin is purple and wrinkled and her hair is falling out and she's bent over and her teeth are in terrible shape and it just goes on. And it was really horrible for me to watch that. And then I just thought, people could be like Bernardo. They could just take the time and have the self-discipline to take care of their temple every day. And as we say, age gracefully. So take care of your feet because they take care of you. So let me continue here. So again, rinse and dry your feet with a soft towel and then immediately rub an adequate amount of quality olive oil. And of course, we mean extra virgin olive oil. And if you don't have that, then you can use Vaseline or maybe you have a favorite moisturizer or something that you can use and then you put on your socks, you go to bed. You do this on a regular basis, even if you just do it a few times a week, and then you're going to notice a change. So the other thing I want to share with you that I'm remembering right now is that I was talking to Bernardo about, you know, sort of calluses, right? And those little kind of bunions that you can get. And a lot of times people will go to the podiatrist to get those things removed. But he explained to me that when you wear really tight shoes, it cuts off the circulation in your feet, right? Then you've got that rubbing. And so that's why you develop things like that. So he said to me, all you have to do, and I actually did this, all you have to do is if you've got a callus, right, one of those little bumps on your feet, he said, take some, you know, olive oil or take some Vaseline and spend some extra time every evening and rubbing that callus, rubbing it. And if you do that on a consistent basis, one day it will just fall off. It will just fall away without doing any cutting or anything like that. And I had a callus like that because, well, I was wearing some high heels, or maybe I was working as a waitress, right? I was working as a waitress and I had to stand on my feet for a long time. And that particular pair of catering shoes I had at that time before I switched and got a better pair were really squeezing my toes. And so that's what I ended up doing. I followed his advice, I did what he said, and it worked like a charm. Okay, so I'm going to continue on here with the last part that I'm going to read. It's called The Gray Matter Matters. So when we think about an object, keeping an object in motion, we don't necessarily think about the brain. But, you know, with the rise of Alzheimer's, right, and memory loss and memory care facilities and research and drugs and all of that, I thought it would be interesting, you know, to read this and just to share his perspective on it. The Gray Matter Matters. In 1972, at the age of 82, a Dutch woman made the decision to donate her body to science at the time of her death. 29 years later, at the age of 111, Henrique van Endelschipper called the university that she'd originally contacted, worried that because of her age, she would no longer be of any value to them. I love it. She was assured, however, that they were very interested, especially because of her astounding longevity. Over the next 2 years, she volunteered for a number of cognitive tests with quite surprising results. She was alert, in full control of her faculties, and her overall cognitive functions, such as memory and attention, were better than those of someone 40 years her junior. So here's a 111-year-old woman, right, undergoing these cognitive tests, and she was in better shape in terms of her memory and her faculties than someone 40 years younger than her. So that would be someone like 70, okay? After her death in 2005, at the age of 115, doctors eagerly examined her brain and were shocked by what they found, or more accurately, didn't find. Henrique had no signs of atherosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries. Her brain was free of the effects of Alzheimer's. Every test seemed to indicate a brain from someone much younger. Was Henrique special? Of course she was. But was she unique? I don't believe so. She simply showed what is possible given the right circumstances and attitude. Having a healthy body is extremely important if one wishes to enjoy a long and vital life. But without the healthy mind to go with it, what's the point? Being able to climb the stairs is only useful if you can remember, once you've reached the top, why you were making the trip. People seem to be amazed that I have no problem remembering appointments, things I've read, or conversations, and can speak on some subject for hours without losing my train of thought. As I've said on number of occasions, I don't feel any different than when I was in my 50s and have a hard time understanding what the fuss is all about. Unfortunately, most people still believe that it is a natural progression as we age, that memory goes, attention span goes, and we inevitably end up like some helpless babe. I am living proof that life does not have to be that way. But just as you will never be physically fit without proper exercise, so too, a sharp mind needs to be worked and stretched and challenged. Only consistent, determined action will lead to the life you truly want. First and foremost, it is crucial that we do our best to put a stop to any possible decline and begin instead to improve our brain health. How? By eating the proper foods, by exercising the body, and by challenging the mind. A proper diet regimen, as laid out elsewhere in this book, must become a part of your everyday life if you wish to experience vitality regardless of age. The quality of food we eat affects not just the muscles and organs, but also has a profound impact on brain function, whether it be memory, motor skills, hormone function, or any of the other activities that are controlled and regulated by the brain. Physical exercise, too, plays a most important role in how our gray matter behaves. A number of studies, now support this. In the past, most physicians believed that neurons, the nerve cells that make up our brains, grew in number and complexity only when young, and at some point in early adulthood, they began to die out and were not replaced. This, they reasoned, explained the gradual mental decline as we aged, since the brain was literally shrinking and the number of neurons and the quality of their connections both declined. Studies have now shown that new neurons can be grown well into adulthood when one exercises regularly. Not only that, but the ones we have can be made to live longer. An animal study some time ago showed that mice, when placed in an environment where they could exercise by using wheels, tunnels, etc., doubled the number of new brain cells in the hippocampus region. In the same study, it was discovered that motor skill and memory tasks caused those cells, which normally died out in 2 weeks, to live much longer. Within a day, the number of surviving cells more than doubled, certainly a substantial change brought about only through physical and mental exercise and not by drugs or artificial influences. I wanted to say AI there. It's important to think for ourselves. It's important. Keeps us healthy. This brings me to the third spoke of the mental health wheel, keeping the brain challenged and active. There are many ways to do this, but the method I find most enjoyable is by reading a diverse array of books and publications every single day. Wherever I live, one of the things I cannot do without is a large wall-to-wall bookcase filled with the hundreds of books that I've accumulated over the years. I try to spend several hours each day reading books related to health and longevity, obviously, American history, raw foods, and other diet-related works, and many other subjects. It may sound strange to those who haven't thought to pick up a book since high school, but beyond the simple joy I get from this activity, I can actually feel my mind becoming sharper, better focused, and more alert as I devour some new health or diet publication. The benefits are tangible, recognizable, and cumulative. If you haven't done this in a while, I urge you to rediscover the joy of reading. Obviously, not everybody will share my passion for the printed word. To those people, I offer some other suggestions to help keep their brains alive and ticking. 1. Stay curious and involved. Learning something new on a regular basis, however you choose to do that, is extremely beneficial. It might involve taking classes at a local college or joining a community group. Never, ever think you know it all. In fact, prove to yourself daily that you don't. 2. Try writing. If you aren't quite to the point of penning your memoirs, then just do crossword puzzles or write poetry or anything similar that requires thought and attention. 3. Attend lectures, plays, or concerts. Giving your full attention to a piece of music or letting someone teach you something you didn't know before is terrific for keeping the mind engaged and sharp. 4. Try making music, painting, sculpture, stained glass, or just wind your own fly fishing line lures. I guarantee that piano or guitar lessons or breaking out the watercolors could not help but supercharge the brain. Could not help but supercharge the brain. So you don't necessarily have to be, quote, good at something for it to benefit you, right? You might say, okay, I'm going to take an art class. You might not turn out to be, Michelangelo or Turner or Picasso, but just the fact that you're doing something like that is helping you stay sharp and keep your brain supercharged, as Bernardo puts it. 5, play games. Chess is excellent, but any game, whether it be cards or checkers or charades, will give the gray matter a definite boost. The secondary benefit, of course, is that you get to laugh. 6, work outdoors, plant a garden, or try nature photography. Anything that is both mentally challenging and involves fresh air is a definite plus. 7, finally, try out formal memory exercises. There are many books and other publications devoted to formal methods for stretching the brain and keeping it pliable and young. I hope you begin to understand that having a sharp mind is every bit as important as having a strong and well-nourished body. It is truly possible to have a life of independence and joy, of activity and purpose, but only if we are willing to do what is necessary. Don't let life be something that just happens to you. Take charge. So we got up to page 77 here. So that concludes this part of the monthly series that we're going to be doing when I join you, or we get together next month virtually here. I'm going to be going over chapter 3, which is called Offerings for the Temple. Yeah, and he talks about, the quote he uses here, nothing will benefit human health and increase the chances for survival of life on Earth as much as the evolution to a vegetarian diet. That's a quote from Albert Einstein. So I think that next month would probably be the appropriate time because Jean had asked for me to comment on a vegan lifestyle. So I think that next month that will be a good time for me to comment on that, given that quote and given the bent that the chapter is about. So I'm just going to scroll through the comments here and see who had the honor of joining. So Amos was here, Marcus Moore was here, Travis is here, made a lot of nice comments. Let me see, Yadya Mahalia. I'm probably saying your name wrong, and I really apologize for that, but I thank you for joining. And let Let me see. Belinda Bird is watching. Thank you so much. Ernestine White is here. Thank you so much for being here. And for anyone who was watching this afterwards. Now, let me see. There's a question. Okay, Travis has got a question. Doesn't necessarily have to do with massage therapy. Did he ever talk about if yogurt was good or not, like for protein and eating it with fruit? I don't remember him talking about that. And if you find that that's good for you, then do it. You know, I hope that one of the things that you take away from Bernardo is discernment. I hope that you are learning yourself and that you're learning your body. You know, he would always say that the chemicals in everyone's body is different, but I guess I can just say, you know, from my own knowledge, research, experience, that if you're going to have yogurt, then you should have whole yogurt. You should have the fatty yogurt, because the long chain fatty acids that are actually good for the brain are in fat and the protein. When I go to the supermarket and I see low fat or non-fat yogurt, I think to myself, what was the point? What was the point of the cow who went through this whole process of chewing grass and producing really a perfect food if it's not contaminated by hormones and abuse and neglect and all of that, okay? In a perfect world, why, you know? So, you know, eating something in general as close to nature as possible is going to be beneficial. So did Bernardo eat yogurt with fruit? No, that was not his thing. He stuck to oatmeal. Does that mean that you can't eat yogurt with fruit? No, it doesn't mean that. You can do that. You can do that if you feel that it's, you know, if it's good for you, if it's helping you. But again, it's really important, you know, to source things and make sure you're getting something that isn't processed. Let me see. I'm trying to think now. Like if you've ever had Greek yogurt, like real Greek yogurt, or if you've ever been to a farm where you can actually get what they call, you know, raw milk, non-pasteurized milk, right? It's a totally different experience than the sort of tasteless stuff that we get in the supermarket, right? Which is coming from deplorable conditions from factory farms, if I may speak frankly and bluntly. If you're old enough to remember what it was like going to a farm when cows were actually hand milked and not with all these machines and, you know, they were treated with dignity and respect, then you understand the difference. Or if you've been lucky enough to go to a place like Gitanagari Farm, which is a HIMSA no-kill dairy located in Pennsylvania, where they never kill the cows or the bulls ever, and had milk from a place like that, wow, it's totally different experience. And all the different grasses that they're fed, like 7 different kinds, and how clean their stalls are kept. And the cows aren't in anxiety. They know they're not going to be killed. I mean, I spent a night there one time and I woke up the next morning and I mean, the smell of milk was actually out in the fields because the cows were so happy that their milk bags were actually squirting milk in the fields. And so, you know, any creature that is subject to cruelty, brutality, fear, and anxiety is not going to be living an optimal life and is certainly not going to be giving anything optimal that they have to give, and that includes human beings. Let me see whether there's a comment. Ah, okay. Good. All right. Well, it's 6:53 now. So unless someone's got another question or maybe an experience they want to share about massage or a question about that, I'm going to conclude. Again, you know, make sure that if you're going to go to a massage therapist, that you're going to a licensed massage therapist. you know, someone who's got the right certifications, someone who's got a good reputation. I guess I'll just share this little anecdote in conclusion. When Bernardo had his own practice, he rented an apartment downstairs in the building that he was living in at 72-1041st Avenue in Jackson Heights, Queens. And a lot of the people that would come to him for massages and also to have their feet worked on were dancers, for example, because at that time, you know, New York had a lot of clubs and a lot of entertainment, not only just the Rockettes, but there were a lot of places where people were, you know, doing floor shows and dancing and entertaining people for a living. And they were spending a lot of time on their feet, and they had to dance in high heels. And they were pretty sore and they were pretty beaten up, right? At the end of a week, at the end of a work week. So those were made the backbone of a lot of his regular clients were dancers who would come in for that massage and would come in to have that footwork, would come in to have the whirlpool, would come in to sit in the steam box and just really have a full overall complete relaxation restorative body experience. The last thing I'll say about Bernardo, which is related, is that after he had his stroke when he was 109, because he'd been through quite a lot of stress because his wife, Georgette, had had a horrific accident and wasn't being treated properly in the facility where she was supposed to be being treated. This was very, very upsetting to him, and he was actually going over there and taking care of her literally hand and foot, you know, making sure that her bed sheets were changed and cleaning her and all of that. My point is, as a result of that, he became sleep deprived. And at the end of that whole kind of experience and stuff, he actually ended up having a stroke. He knew he was having a stroke, so he called a friend of his, a nurse, Amy, and said, "I think I'm having a stroke." And, you know, he got himself to the ER. And then after that, to recuperate, because, you know, when you have a stroke, you often become paralyzed on one side. In his case, you know, he wasn't able to talk, use one side of his mouth, and it was drooping and all of that. So he got acupuncture on a regular basis to help with that. Now, why acupuncture? Acupuncture helps circulation. It helps the blood flow, because when you have a traumatic thing to happen to you, like a stroke, right, then your arteries, right, collapse. So that's what he did. And then over time, after he kind of got out of the woods in that situation, he would get a massage, once a week just to maintain his health. So when Bernardo's giving his perspective on something, it's not that he's just trying to tell you what to do and that he hasn't lived it. He's lived it. Either lived it because it's something he practices every day, or he has been giving, therapeutic treatments to his patients. Again, I will close with this disclaimer. Before you do anything, consult your physician, use your discernment, understand where you're at in life. Remember, Bernardo conducted these health practices his entire life, every single day. I never met a man who was more stubborn than my grandfather. I have never met a man who was more disciplined than my grandfather. He did these things every single day without fail. So if you're just sort of getting in shape and trying to improve your lifestyle, just bear in mind that you may not be in the same shape that Bernardo was in his hundreds, right? It's good that you're trying, but be practical, be discerning, use common sense, use your own judgment, and consult trusted, qualified professionals to help you get on and stay on the right path. So with that, I leave you, and remember to keep your liver and your colon clean. There are some important links that I put in this, attached to this video, so check those out. Where to get Bernardo's books, to check out his medicine chest, his daily menu and regime, and also an encouraging video on his YouTube channel. Peace.